Good afternoon, all. Switch on your cameras. Switch on your cameras. So in the last class, we were discussing minutes of the meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Can anybody give me a recap of what you understood? Yes, what have you understood? Minutes of the meeting. Anybody?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, minutes of the meeting is a recorded form that's happened in any meeting, and there is a man that record all the records, that maintain all the records. That's called the P of secretary, or yeah, something like that. And in minutes of meeting, it's started the topic name, and after it where it is where it has been conducted, and where their place is mentioned there. After it it was mentioned that at which time it started, and after it attendees name that is written, attendees name that is written, and after it the member that didn't attend the meeting, I think absentees, yeah, absentees member name is written there. And,
प्रीति क्या तुम बोल तो रहे हो लेकिन कैमरा ऑफ करके बोल रहे हो, कुछ समझ कोई खास नहीं आ रहा है. When we cannot see you, we cannot understand what you're talking about. And communication is all about words and body language.
yes, ma'am.
तो तुम कैमरा ऑफ करके बोलोगे तो आधी बात तो समझ में आएगी नहीं.
Yes, ma'am. मिनट्स ऑफ मीटिंग में पहले टॉपिक नेम हुआ मतलब होता है मैम, उसके बाद प्लेस.
हाँ बताओ.
उसके बाद मैम प्लेस होता है जो जहाँ पे ये कंडक्ट होती है.
Okay, tell me what is the importance of minutes of the meeting? Why do we need to record everything which happened in a meeting?
So, ma'am, it's a written document that's the reference for future. So if anyone that didn't attend the meeting, they will get to know that what happened actually in meeting.
Exactly.
So this is a future reference of.
And who writes the minutes, and in which tense are you writing?
So minutes of meeting, that is as you mentioned in previous class, a person that is specifically hired for recording the minute of meeting, or otherwise the secretary, PA of secretary, that's right, minutes of meeting.
The PA or the secretary, she writes or he writes the minutes of the meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is a documented proof and a record of whatever happened in the meeting.
Yes,
for future reference,
yes, ma'am.
For recording responsibilities and duties which are delegated.
Yes, ma'am. Which type of work assigned to which person? Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
And then it is always also important to note down, take a note of people who attended, the attendees and the absentees, so that persons who were unable to attend the meeting can be informed later with a.
And ma'am, it is also written that when next meeting is gonna to happen in future.
Yes, and finally, it is also mentioned in the minutes the time and the venue and the date of the next meeting which is going to take place.
Yes, ma'am.
That also is decided in the meeting.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Okay.
So we will take some points which may be helpful for you.
Yes, ma'am.
So this PPT is concerned with agenda, and it starts with agenda. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points were for agenda, and then 6th point starts for minutes. So as you see, minutes are a record of a meeting, and they are essential for everyone. who attended as well as those who were absent. Means, why is it essential for people who attended? जो मीटिंग में आए थे ये उनके लिए क्यों इम्पोर्टेंट है? जो नहीं आए तो वो तो समझ गए, वो नहीं आए हैं इसलिए they should be updated about what happened. But what about those who already attended the meeting? So why is the minutes important to them?
Ma'am, I think they can. I think, ma'am, in future they can, if they forget anything, they will get to
Because
know
they
what
can recap
happened.
about the
Yes, ma'am.
responsibilities and duties, their own and others in the group, which role, what duties they are assigned. So it is a record for everybody, something which is kept very confidential also, and something which is open also. So the duties and the responsibilities are assigned in the meeting, and people should know what they are supposed to do, right? So minutes, that is why the importance of meeting. Number one is minutes are a record. So minutes are important because they are the records of the everything which happened in the meeting, right? And they are essential for one and all, for everyone who attended, and for the absentees and the attendees. Second point is minutes may be presented in different formats. Now, I have not told you what are the formats of the meeting. There are different formats, but we take into consideration just one general format which is useful for everybody. So minutes may be presented in different formats depending on the preference of each company. Each company may have different rules and regulations, but a general format is already given as a sample, which we discussed in the last class. But then today I will tell you what are the types of meeting minutes also. Yeah. Next point is it is used to include an action column. And some minutes, they put an action column. It means what is to be done. Stating who is responsible for dealing with each item. For example, XYZ is responsible for dealing with sales. So each name, against each name, there would be an action. Who is going to do what? Next point is the same heading should appear on the minutes as on the agenda. Like you make the agenda. Similarly,
Ma'am,
yes.
मैम कोई मतलब कि वेटिंग रूम में है मैम, जैद है मैम.
Okay. So the way you have formatted an agenda, column wise, similarly point wise, similarly you need to make the minutes and create it just like an agenda. Write minutes in past tense and third person using reported speech. It was done, it was said, the person was assigned for this, for that. So always use past tense and third person using reported speech. Another point which is very important is that the minutes taker does not include any of his personal opinions or assumptions. They have to write down what actually happened, wherein there are no personal information or personal viewpoints should never be included. And there was the types. I would like to show you the types of meetings. Here. Types can be, there are three types of meetings: the verbatim meeting minutes, the minutes of resolution, and minutes of narration. Though this may be a little too detailed, maybe you do not need this for your syllabus, but then I'm telling you. So verbatim, what does verbatim mean? What does minutes of resolution mean? And what does minutes of narration? So these the three formats. So verbatim, it means which is used primarily in court reporting, where everything needs to be recorded word for word. where nothing is left out. Whatever is said is included. Verbatim, word for word. Every word is taken down. Do you understand? इसका समझ में आ गया ना?
Yes, ma'am.
वर्ड फॉर वर्ड, एक वर्ड को इंक्लूड करना है, कुछ मिस आउट नहीं करना. And then minutes of resolution. This type of minutes will take down only main conclusions. जो conclusions, जो निष्कर्ष, जो results आया उसको लिखना है. Resolution का मतलब होती है solutions of problems. तो only resolutions are put. Only main conclusions reached in the meeting are recorded. Usually for minutes of annual general meeting and statutory meeting. तो किसी भी तरह का annual meeting जो होता है उसमें आप सिर्फ डालते हैं the minutes is only taken, only recorded what was the conclusion, what was the result, and then there are minutes of narration. The third type of meeting is minutes is narration. This is concise summary of all discussions in the meeting. It means narration, you already know about it. What is narration? It is like a story. So concise summary. It means narration means a concise summary of whatever happened in the meeting. So verbatim, word for word, resolution, only the conclusion, only the results, and narration means a concise summary of whatever happened in the meeting. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is the definition.
Yes,
Minutes are an accurate written record. We can take down the definition. Minutes can be defined as an accurate written record of meetings is essential, which is essential for those who attended and for those who were unable to attend. Then there comes the types of. It is a written record. Shortest definition of. So what is verbatim meeting minutes? Someone tell me. What is verbatim?
What, ma'am?
Which is written in word to word.
Nothing is left. Everything should be recorded.
Thing
It is
is
basically used in court sections, court work.
जहाँ एक बात को रिकॉर्ड किया जाता है. Everything, every detailed, like unimportant, everything. What is the next? What is minutes of resolution?
Ma'am, only mainly conclusion that are recorded in the minutes of resolution, ma'am.
For example, in like an annual general meeting.
Statutory meeting resolutions.
Yes. And what is the third? Minutes of narration.
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
concise summary of all discussions.
A concise summary of all that happened. I would like to show you some things which are important. And it is always followed by the agenda. First comes the agenda, and then comes the. These are the types of meeting which is not in your syllabus. We are not bothered about the types of meetings. In some later class, maybe in the second semester, I will tell you what are the types of meeting and why meetings are held. Let us discuss today. Meetings. Why are meetings held? Why are meetings held?
To take an important decision.
Ma'am, I think ma'am, meeting is held to provide information or yet to take opinion of all people, and after it to
Discuss
make
something which is important.
Okay, please write down the points which are written. When you're writing minutes of the meeting, you need to give a layout of what are minutes, what are meetings. Why are meetings important in any business house? Meetings are very important. So write down the first point: to coordinate and arrange activities. To report on some activity or experience. To put forward ideas, grievances for discussion. First write down, then we'll discuss the points. To give information to a group of people. So why are meetings held? These are the points. To obtain assistance. And lastly, to create involvement and interest. Now let us deal with each point. What do you understand by the term to coordinate or to arrange activities? Anybody? You all understand that meetings are very important in any organization. In any business house, meetings are very important. So the first point that we just put is to coordinate or to arrange activities. What kind of activities can be in, can you think of in a business house? Any activity?
Introduction of any new product in an organization.
Yes, very good.
Implementation of any new law in the organization.
Fine.
Or organizing a kind of a trip for the people of the organization.
Anything. It can be a seminar, it can be a fun house seminar, it can be off-duty meeting, it can be like CIMAGE has been arranging a lot of activities, meetings for like on any event, whether it is any event. So Holi Mela hai ya kuch bhi hai, pre-Diwali celebrations. So events have been happening. Why this is important? Because to create involvement and interest. Like nothing is happening, so what happens? Let us involve everybody so that there will be some vibrancy. All right, the second is to report on some activity or experience. For example, we all meet sometimes, the academic team meets time to time to discuss the progress of students, to discuss the syllabus status. So we all meet and then we discuss our experience. So what is our experience in each class? How are the classes going? It is kind of it can be taken into consideration, like everybody has to report on some activity or some experience. Like after the bridge class, there are meetings like how are the new students and are they able to understand what were the activities done, what was the response of the students. So we all have to create, report on some experience or some activity which happened. To put forward ideas, grievances for discussions. Sometimes we meet for putting some ideas deciding or suggesting something which will be beneficial for the organization, or it may be some grievances also, some concerns, some issues which you want to put forth so that it can be discussed and sorted out. So meetings can be to give information to a group of people. If you have some vital information, which needs to be shared with everybody, then the meetings are held to share important information to a large group of people working in the organization. What do you understand to obtain assistance? When there is some cooperation required, some assistance required, then also the meeting is held so that people can get together and work out on a problem, on a project, isn't it? And then all meetings, any kind of meeting, all types of meetings are held only to create involvement and interest of people working in the organization. You would like to know some of the meetings, like formal meetings, types of meetings. चलो आप लिख ही लो इसको, अच्छा है. Formal meetings क्या होता है? The rules of conduct are laid down in a company's article of association and or constitution or standing orders. Every company has some protocols, some rules and regulations. So these formal meetings are held so that people are inducted and informed about the rules and the regulations and what are the standing orders, what are things to be done and what are things to be avoided. So a protocol, a list of rules and regulations must be presented. The minimum number of people who should be present in order to validate the meeting. A formal record of those meetings must be kept. And the formal record क्या होता है? वही minutes of the meeting होता है.
मैम
Yeah.
ये फॉर्मल मीटिंग हम लोग को सेकेंड सेम में पढ़ना है या इसी सेमेस्टर में पढ़ना है मैम?
आपको जो पढ़ना है आपको डिटेल हम बता दे रहे हैं कि टाइप्स ऑफ द मीटिंग अगर एग्जाम में आता है तो यू मस्ट नो ना.
Yes, ma'am.
The formal meetings, when a formal meeting of any company is held, it is like a induction or orientation where people get together and meet and know the rules and regulations of the company. Next is statutory meeting. Terms आप समझ लीजिए क्या है. Formal general meetings. Annual general meeting is usually held once a year to assess the trading of the organization over the year. All shareholders are invited to attend the AGM, but they must be given a 20 days notice. So what is a statutory meeting? Statutory meetings are called so that the directors and shareholders can communicate and consider special reports. So special reports are considered between whom? Between the directors and the shareholders. Companies are required by law to hold these meetings, and the law of the companies lays it down that we have to hold statutory meetings. Then the third is the board meeting. Board meeting क्या होता है? Board meetings are held as often as the individual organizations require. Attended by all directors and chaired by the chairman of the board. आप सुनते होंगे, the board will decide, the board will hold the meeting and it will be discussed in the forum in the board. It means all the directors will be there, attended by all directors. If there are 2 directors, they will be there. and chaired by the main person, chairman of the board, to discuss some important issues, some concern. And then there are the informal meetings. What are informal meetings? They are not restricted by the same rules and regulations as formal meetings. Formal meetings have got to have a lot of restrictions. But informal meeting, no restrictions. May take the form of brainstorming, discussion, sessions where strict agendas may not be necessary and minutes may not be kept. So informal meeting, it means just a discussion where you meet, you discuss. You may not even include the minutes of the meeting. However, it is good business practice for an agenda to be issued to all members prior to the meeting so that they can prepare adequately in order to make valuable contributions. Even if it is an informal meeting, the agenda has to be prepared and distributed so that each person should know what are they required to do so. Informal meetings can take place, management meetings, departmental meetings, and working parties. That was all that I wanted to discuss about. Since we were on minutes, I thought I'll give you some extra info. Informal meetings, the management meetings, are attended by a group of managers who need to discuss specific matter reports on progress or receive progress reports. For example, the marketing manager, sales manager, production manager, and research and development manager may need to discuss the launch of a new product. Right. Departmental meetings. So departmental meetings are called by the head of the department or manager of for a certain section. All staff will be invited to attend so that information can be passed on. Or reports received from some members of the staff regarding a specific project. It can also take between working parties, may be set up to work together on a specific project or problem. At meetings, progress reports will be given and decision for further action taken. This is not required. So, these were some points on the minutes which you need to know. Any question regarding this? Now coming to your module. The importance of minutes of the meeting. The very word minutes is misleading. You may try to take, it is not verbatim. In general minutes of the meeting, the minutes taker will not take down everything like in court. It will not be verbatim, but it will be only the main points are discussed. Not the conclusion, not the summary, but we include the main points, the important points. After all, your committee or board doesn't want or need a record of its meeting proceedings minute by minute, but it is important to capture the essence of the meeting, including details such as. So, what will you be? What is required? What will you include? If it is not verbatim, what will you include? You will include only the main points. For example, decision made. It means what was the resolution? What was decided? What is the next step which is planned? And thirdly, identification and tracking of action items. It means identify or tracking some concerns, some issues, and what will be the solution, and what responsibilities will be given to whom. This will be discussed. So minutes are a tangible record of meeting for its participants and a source of information for members who were unable to attend. This is all the time it is highlighting. Important, essential for people who attended, and equally important for those who could not attend. Yeah.
Ma'am, what is the meaning of motion?
Where did you
Motion
read
made. Ma'am, decision made.
Decision
Motion made.
What steps were taken? What was suggested? क्या raise किया गया? क्या concern raise किया? What was the motion? Right. And who voted for the motion? Who voted against it? We were not there in the last class. No, we read this in the last class. It is there in your module. Read it. When a meeting's outcomes impacts other collaborative activities or projects within the organization. So minutes are intangible record of the meeting for people who attended and people who did not attend. When a meeting of outcomes impacts other collaborative activities or projects within the organization, it is also concerned with whatever is happening in the organization and that which needs to be discussed. Minutes can serve to notify or remind individuals of tasks assigned to them and on timelines. It means, supposing Aryabhata, I have given you a task and you must submit this by the end of this month. So this task has been assigned to you and the timeline is given. So you have to be submitting it before the due date. So that is why it is important for everybody so that they can recap what duties they have to perform, what is the timeline, what needs to be done, till when, what is the deadline. So what is involved with minutes of the meeting minutes? There are essentially 5 steps involved with minutes.
Ma'am,
Yes.
मैम एक और पॉइंट छूट गई थी ऊपर मतलब कि ऊपर कीजिए मैम सॉरी ना. Yes, ma'am. When a meeting is the outcome, impact, and other collaborative activities or
जब
projects.
मीटिंग का आउटकम इम्पैक्ट करता है अदर एक्टिविटीज को और प्रोजेक्ट को विद इन द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. इसका पहले हेडिंग देखो ना, हेडिंग क्या बोल रहा है. व्हाई मिनट्स आर इंपॉर्टेंट. जब तुम्हारा मीटिंग क्या होता है, मीटिंग का आउटकम क्या है, व्हेन इट इम्पैक्ट्स अदर कोलैबोरेटिव एक्टिविटीज और प्रोजेक्ट्स विद इन द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, there has got to be something which is discussed, any concern, any issue, any motion made, any suggestion. So minutes can serve to
मैम जैसे कि अगर कोई चीज पहले से हो चुका है और वो चीज फिर से हो रही है तो वैसे ही कुछ मैम.
हाँ
मैम
जैसे कोई
we can use that
concern.
as a reference.
हाँ, जैसे कि आपने पढ़ा था ना कि मोशन क्या है. You did not read the last, you were not there in the last class, no? So there was a I had given an example of a baker who was supposed to, who gave out, what was that? Sally's Baker or some bakery or something. We were reading that in the last class. So it was suggested that who suggested, who opposed. There was a cupcake, velvet red cake, which is not doing well. So the baker was under the impression that इसको scrap कर दिया जाए. But then two people said नहीं, scrap नहीं होगा. एक ने कहा कि नहीं scrap होना चाहिए. दो ने कहा तो scrap नहीं होना चाहिए. तो मोशन क्या हुआ? It was उसका जो सजेशन था कि वेलवेट कप केक को हटा देना चाहिए, तो वो उसका सजेशन को एक्सेप्ट नहीं किया गया. So that was the motion was declined. Everything which happens, simply let us put it this way, everything which happens in an organization, there are a lot of concerns which happen on a day-to-day basis. There are a lot of new activities which take place, which keep on happening. There are a lot of plans to be made, discussions, which brainstorming, a lot of things to be done in an organization, for which minutes and meetings are required. So what is involved with minute meetings? It means what are the essential points of taking down the minutes of the meeting? First is pre-planning. You plan out. What is the planning about? The planning is about an agenda. The agenda sets the stage for the meeting. So first of all, the first always is the agenda. Secondly, the meeting itself. And thirdly, the process ends with the minutes of the meeting. So it is pre-planning. So there are essentially 5 steps involved with meeting minutes. What do you understand by pre-planning?
Something which is already planned.
No. Pre-planning is that the person should be ready, willing, able, and alert, not distracted, focused on what is going to happen, isn't it? Pre-planning, which means she has to keep handy all the tools she needs, or he needs, the computer, laptop, or a pen and a paper, whatever, or a recording machine, anything. Pre-planning, number 1. You plan it out. Any event, anything has a process. Any activity, any official activity has a process. So first you plan it out. Record taking at the minute. As you said, as you read, that it is taken in past tense. Minutes writing or transcribing. Either you write it, or you use shorthand, or you type it out, or you simply record it. If you simply record it, you are taking down everything, but you are giving yourself another task. So you will have to listen to the recording again, and that will be extra work. So what is best is writing at the time of happening. Distributing or sharing of meeting minutes. The minutes taker should be very particular as he or she shares the agenda. Similarly, he or she has to share the minutes of the meeting, irrespective of the fact whether they attended or were absent. And then filing, something which is very important in any organization. Filing or storage of minutes for future reference. What good will this be when you there's a file like minutes of the meeting की एक अलग से file बनती है. इसमें people take down all the minutes all the meetings which took place in the year say 2021. If you want to find out the details, supposing there's a new HR coming, or a new manager, then what will happen? How will the person know the details about it? How will any HR know the details of a company, the complete layout of a company? Simple. He will look through the files, find out what, why, when, where, who. वो सारी चीजें उसको उस फाइल से मालूम पड़ जाती है. So in organization, people keep on changing. No? There can be new HR, there can be new managers, and who would like to be updated. Simple. Pre-planning. Somebody read this. I've already explained pre-planning. As I said, pre-planning already starts with an agenda. When you think about minutes of the meeting, you have to go back to the agenda. It always traces you, takes you back, tracks you down to the agenda. And agenda is always pre-planned. Planning starts with agenda only. Somebody read this. Anyone read this? Hello, read pre-planning. What happened?
मैम स्क्रीन हट गया मैम.
आप पढ़ ही नहीं रहे थे, मैं वापस आके आपको बता रही हूँ. Read pre-planning, this point.
इसमें स्क्रीन शेयर कीजिए मैम.
पढ़ो. So why is pre-planning important?
A well-planned meetings helps ensure effective meetings minutes. If the chair and the secretary or minutes taker would together to ensure the agenda and meetings are well thought out, it makes minute taking much easier. For example,
Exactly.
depending on the meeting structure and the tools you use, see tools below. The minutes taker could work with the chair to create a document format that works as an agenda and minutes outline as well.
So as said, minutes pre-planning starts with the agenda. A well-planned agenda will lead to a well-defined minutes, a well-defined meeting, and a properly taken minutes. Read the second. Record taking. What should it conclude? Sorry, include.
Yes, before you start taking notes, it is important to understand the type of information you need to record at the meeting. As noted earlier, your organization may have required content and a specific format that you will need to follow, but generally meetings minutes usually include the following: date and time of the meeting, names of the meeting participants and those unable to attend, acceptance or correction, amendments to previous meetings minutes, decisions made about each agenda items, for example, actions taken or agreed to be taken, next steps, voting outcomes, example, if necessary, details regarding who made motions, who seconded and approved or via show of hands, etc. Motions taken or rejected, items to be held over, new business, next meeting date and time.
So this is all about
Included
things which you need to keep in mind when you start writing minutes. Tips of note taking. Note taking means tips of how will you record. Somebody else read. Somebody else read. Is the class sleeping or what? The whole class is absent today. What are you all doing? Sleeping. Sleeping. Tired ho gaye. Sittu Kumar, please read.
Yes, ma'am.
चलो पढ़ो इसको. पढ़ते तो हो नहीं, कम से कम मेरे सामने पढ़ो. Tips of note taking or tips for writing minutes. Hello?
Tips of note taking. Yes, ma'am. सुन रहे हैं मैम?
किसका माइक्रोफोन ऑन
Create
है?
an outline.
1 minute, 1 minute.
मैम मेरे ही ऑन है मैम.
तेरे घर से आवाज बहुत आ रही है.
मैम घर पे नहीं है मैम, हॉस्पिटल में.
तुम हॉस्पिटल में हो? क्यों?
ओ मैम दादी जी आईसीयू में.
एक काम करो तो माइक्रोफोन बंद ही कर लो. चलो, टेक केयर ऑफ योर. चलो, somebody read. Aryabhata, where you
Yes, ma'am.
read? तुम लोग बिल्कुल responsive नहीं हो. What has happened to you?
Nothing, ma'am.
Can you read?
Tips that might help your note taking. First is create an outline. As discussed earlier, having an outline based on the agenda makes it easy for you to simply jot down the notes, decision, etc. under each item as you go along. If you are taking notes by hand, consider including space below each item on your outline for your handwritten notes. Then print these out and use this to capture the minutes. Second thing is check off the attendees as they enter the room. If you know the meaning, if you know the meeting attendees, you can check the name off as they arrive. If not, have flocks introduce themselves at the start of the meeting or circulate an attendance list.
If you do not know the person, if not have folks introduce themselves at the start of the meeting or circulate an attendance list, they can check out. If you are the minutes taker, if you know each person in the organization, each person who are attending, you tick mark as soon as they enter the room, you make a present, like tick. And so if the people whom you do not know, you do not recognize, in the meeting, there can be people from outside also. So you can ask them to introduce themselves. This is another way of checking out the attendance.
Next is record decision or notes on action taken in new outline as soon as they occur to be sure they are recorded accurately. Fourth point, ask for the clarification if necessary. For example, if the group moves on without making a decision or obvious conclusion, ask for clarification of the decision or the next step involved.
Okay. Supposing supposing कोई decision लिया नहीं गया and they have moved on to the next concern, you have to stop them for clarification. For example, like if something is discussed and the resolution is not made, then you have to stop them to ask what was the discussion. So what was the result?
Ma'am, what if they don't want to say?
Of course, they will say. They will definitely.
Okay. Don't try to capture it all. You can't keep up if you try to write down the conversation verbatim. So be sure to simply and clearly write or type just the decision, assignment, actions, steps, etc.
Yes.
And after record it. Literally, if you are concerned about being able to keep up with the note taking, consider recording the meeting. Example on your smartphone, iPad, recording the decision, etc. But be sure to let the participant know that they are being recorded or they are being recording. While you don't want to use the recording to create a word for your word transcription of the meeting, the recording can come in handy if you need clarification.
Sometimes you can also record it, but the best way is to write down whatever is happening, transcribe it or write it down. In the process we have already discussed, and business proposals we have already done. We had missed out minutes of the meeting, so just the ending part is done, is yet to be done. Like the process, though already I have discussed it, still we need to discuss it in your verbatim, word by word. The third part will be done in the next class, the minutes writing process. That's it for today.